Why do you want to dance?
Why do you want to live?
You shall dance, and the world shall follow. There it is, all waiting for you. Miss Page, what do you want from life? To live?
To dance.
I could make you one of the greatest dancers the world has ever known. Music is all that matters. Nothing but the music.
We are trying to create something of beauty.
The dancer who relies upon the comforts of human love will never be a great dancer. Time rushes by, love rushes by, life rushes by, but the red shoes dance on.
Toronto, Cannes, Berlin, and Sundance, everybody chat about. Good movies, chat about. Good movies, chat about.
All right.
Good movies.
Hang on
Good
a second.
movies.
Wait, what am I doing?
Good movies.
We are here again, another week. Hang on, John. I'm gonna let you see me in a second. Here we go. Welcome everybody to another week on the Good Movie Chat About. It's me, Bobby Lorgugu, and I'm joined this week by an old friend. We were just saying we haven't even spoken in many years, but as babies in our extreme youth, right out of college, both of us, we were friends in Chicago many years ago. Did a show together, and now he has gone on to great success. In fact, he's been on a few shows by Team StarKid, and a new one just premiered this weekend, right? Is that right? Yesterday, we have the brand new Cinderella's Castle. I haven't watched it yet, but I saw some of your clips you were sharing with. You got to do cool puppetry and stuff. Looked awesome.
Yeah. It came out yesterday. It's just so good to talk to you again, Bobby.
Yeah, I know.
You're always you were always such a wonderful, fantastic performer.
Oh,
I wish I
thank
was
you.
in Chicago so that I could see you again live.
Well, I'm not in Chicago anymore now, actually. So this is
then
how
never
much
mind.
we have to
Fuck me.
update you on. No, it's okay.
Well, where are you?
I'm in D.C. area now.
Oh, you're in D.C. Better, even better.
Yes.
You have all the theater of Chicago without the winters that
That's
literally
right.
kill you.
Yeah, I mean, we have our own weather issues, and the drivers are worse, and we don't have as good of public transportation, and it's more expensive. But you know, it does have
more expensive than Chicago.
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, and I know Chicago's gotten more expensive, but DC's definitely still more expensive. But yeah, when this was around I was living there, 2009. I think we probably met early 2010ish because that's when we did "Song for Future Generation" by.
Yes.
The great Joe Trace, who went on also to great success with Be More Chill and such. So that was an amazing, and you were Error, and I was Log.
That's right.
And Alex was the first guest on this show. and he was Long's dude. And then we just after that show we just kept. I mean, I would go and see your shows all the time, both your improv shows, and I remember going with Haley to see you as Hamlet, which was also very good.
Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. So it's just been great to see you from afar, but you've obviously, still very much a performer and also loving live performance has clearly never gone away for you, right?
No, yeah, I think live. I was lucky, extremely lucky, to have been found by Nick Lang and Starkid to get to continue performing with them, which brought me out to LA, doing shows like The Guy Didn't Like Musicals and other shows in that world. And then the one that came out yesterday was Cinderella's Castle, which is very much like a dark fantasy in the realm of like the Labyrinth. Type,
Black
type,
Crystal type.
Vibe. Yeah, Dark Crystal, which is like very pop synth synth pop type music. But very, I think went pretty well. But I hope people enjoy
I'm
it.
excited
But
to
yeah,
check it
that's
out.
sort of it's a long. So much can happen in.
I mean, it's just really crazy
10
because
years.
I've been seeing like there's a local like community theater I think that's doing, and I saw auditions for a guy who didn't like musicals, and I'm like, I know the original guy.
Wow.
I know the original guy himself.
That's it's a good show.
Then Trappings of Starlight says you were amazing in Cinderella's Castle. I'm sure you were. I didn't realize I have a cat in here. Abby, if you want to let the cat out, or if you want to come visit Buster, feel free. Anyway, so let's get to this show. Before we get to talking about the movie, which I'm very excited to do. I mean, this was a movie that I knew I wanted to be one of the first movies of this, whatever this show is that I'm doing now, because I love it. But before we get to it, let's start with, I know you said you watched this movie right before, which is great.
Minutes before I came on this call.
Perfect. Amazing. What's the last movie you saw before that?
And do rewatches count?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The
Secret of the Ooze. Yeah, Vanilla Ice. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I will say the first one is better, which we also saw. We did a double feature.
Oh, wow.
And
because I remember as a kid, the second one being much better, at least from my kid brain, because it's more fun. But I think probably
as a kid,
the
the
first
second
one's
one
probably
is
better.
very cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of lots of bit. My girlfriend is in the other room saying that she thought the second one was better.
Okay.
But I liked the second one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, the two monster villains.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
Not Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh, right.
Coke something in Razor.
Oh, Toka and Razor. Yes.
Toka and Razor.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bebop and Rocksteady, I guess the
Their
original
name
creator did not want to use them.
Oh, okay.
But they look kind of like giant. They just look like giant cosplay outfits,
Mm-hmm.
and they just don't have the same kind of menace, I think, that you want them to have. And also, I just love the first one so much because the Ninja Turtles never come out at night. So every scene except for the scenes where they're on the farm,
Mm-hmm.
it's all like in night in New York City, and it's all very gritty and lit that way. But both movies are impressive because they're doing all of these incredible martial arts in giant latex suits,
right?
But they're still doing multiple backflips and side flips and incredible martial artist feats.
Mm-hmm.
So that when you watch that movie, dare I say, in some ways, the physical feats are not as impressive, but impressive in a similar way to the Red Shoes. But when I watch it, I'm like, I can't possibly imagine
No,
how you did that in a giant turtle outfit.
So part of the reason that I've started this show is like over the past few years, I have become extremely movie pilled, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I've sort of found new things that I didn't even know I liked and explored all of those. And I have like gone deeper, like somebody like I always loved, even as a kid. I always loved Jackie Chan. And as I started to go more on my movie journey, I watched a lot more Jackie Chan. Like I saw Police Story for the first time, and that is the ultimate Jackie Chan. And and then some of like the ones he made with the Lucky Stars crew. My favorite is called Wheels on Meals, which is just a crazy movie. It's really funny and fun. And it also has Sammo Hung, who's another amazing, and he is a big fat guy for he is like his big breakout role was in a movie called Enter the Fat Dragon, and he was the fat dragon. But like he's incredibly athletic, and he actually just did a movie last year where he was still doing kung fu. Sammo Hung, I mean, and Jackie still as well, but whatever about his movies a little bit. But anyway, like it's what you're saying where when you can't, like there's no, like of course you can do the wire work and stuff like that. That was not as much what Jackie did, but it's like that just level of physicality, knowing how much they had to choreograph it, knowing how many times that one little thing went wrong and they had to start over, and like just all these sort of things. And of course none of it's safe either. The way that they are not doing any safety regulations, especially like Police Story. Jackie like almost died like 3 times. But yeah, it's like just seeing that sort of pure talent that could only be like, these are people that train for years, they go to like these stunt schools and they become part of stunt teams and stuff, and certain people get elevated. It's like a whole thing, and it's awesome. So and I bet you with the Ninja Turtles, probably part of what they love about it is it's really thanks for the follow, Rainfall64. That's great. My alerts are working. I'm happy. It's probably really easy to localize the Ninja Turtles so that when you release it in all the other markets, because they're like just these big open mouth, like it's the same. It's like the same thing that happened with the Power Rangers TV show, was that it was a whole other TV show that they just like made different stories in between with Americans. Anyway.
I think similarly, it's like there are things that they do in those martial art movies, and I think it's in a lot of the great movies where I watch them and I say, I can't possibly imagine how they could do that or how they did this. There were some shots in the Red Shoes, which maybe you'll demystify it for me, but there were some shots in the Red Shoes where I still am a little unclear on how they did those shots. And I'm like, that type of magic in filmmaking is what makes me think personally, and I don't want to open Pandora's box because I think we could probably spend 45 minutes on this topic alone, so I try to carefully.
I love opening Pandora's box. What's in there? What's in there? Let's let it out.
keep the hands on the lid, baby.
Hey, peasant mindset.
But I don't want to because it's that type of, oh my god, how did they do that makes me think that companies placing bets on AI are really missing the mark. Because no one is going to go see a movie that they know that they could have just typed it into ChatGPT or into one of these programs and make it happen. Because there's no element of magic where they're like, wow, how did they do X? Like that part of it is like, there's no element of wonder there. So why would somebody pay $15 to go see, or whatever, to see that film?
Yeah, we yearn to see humans do amazing things, and it's like that's a human like me. How did they do that? You know what I mean? Like it's that there's no replacement for that connection, and there's no way that AI will ever be able to fill that. Like even the drawing and animation, it's not the same if it's an animator or a team of animators I did my Bobsker Awards for Best Film of the Year. I mean, the Best Actors and everything. It was a very official award show that I did that
Very cool.
that has a voting body of just me. And I said that my favorite movie of last year was the movie Flow, about the cat. Have you watched that one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That's my favorite movie of last year. I mean, it's okay if it wasn't your favorite movie. We don't have to.
You have to understand, I haven't really loved a new movie since I saw like Godzilla -1 in theaters.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
Which I adored and
Right.
I was shocked by.
Well,
and I thought Flow was good. I liked Flow.
I really loved it.
I just like, but I'm also, maybe I'm starting to become a little bit of a grouch. I liked it a lot. But I didn't love it.
Well, I think that it was just for me. What really connected was that this was a really small team that made this movie, and then
True.
And they captured so accurately both animal behavior and also mapped that into creating character, and then those characters sort of creating community, all without words, all while seeming like real animals. And
I did like that the animals really did feel like
right. Especially the cat. Right. I mean, and we have 2 cats,
yes.
And I love cats, and so I was always going to be a sucker for that.
You're the audience.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. I also had seen, not long before when I watched it, I had seen The Wild Robot, and I did not like that one as much, which has been sort of a hot take I found with people, is that I didn't really care for it. I mean, I really loved it, like, a third of the way through, and then I just sort of started to fall off of it a bit because I felt that movie kept stopping itself to say, we're being extremely heartwarming. Look at how heartwarming we're being. Like, in a way that, like, wasn't just in what was happening, because what was happening was naturally very heartwarming. It has a heartwarming story, but they, like, kept, like, layering it on thicker than they needed, and it really bothered me. So then when I watched Flow, and it was completely not spoken, and it was all this sort of stuff that just, like, you just got to see it happen, it was much more thrilling for me. But yeah,
I did love I loved that capybara a lot.
Yeah,
and I loved all the animals and how different they all behave.
Yeah, and the funny thing about the capybara, this is a good fun bit of trivia, is that all of the animals they captured real animal sounds, or they recorded them, or they used a sound library of animal sounds, or however they did it, except and they originally did the capybara sounds, and then when it had like its first preview screening or whatever, a test audience, they were like, they loved all the animals except they couldn't stand the sound of the capybara, because they sound like an actual, and it's supposed to be like a young capybara, and actual baby capybaras are like, they're like shrill and like really high pitched, like shrieky, whiny. So they replaced it with a baby camel noises. So that was actually a camel as the capybara. But I mean, it served the movie, so I didn't really care.
It's that's true. I also found that I was struck by how the beginning of the movie was that it had the number of studios who worked on that movie. It looked like was. This is a 20
game.
Minutes.
Yeah, well, this is a game that Abby and I like to play, where when we're watching, it's always like a foreign movie, and it's because they use a lot of like government grants and different. And there's always a number of production studios that are all on there, and I like to count the production titles for small foreign independent films. Definitely. I remember that with that as well.
I was like,
I'm a big Tim and Eric head, and the Tim and Eric $1 billion movie starts with a similar joke where it's the Schlang Corporation and it's Schlang Enterprise, and there's like 10 different title cards that are all different divisions of Schlang. And that's so anytime there's like that, Abby and I are like, oh, it's a Schlang production, this one. Okay, so that's your movie you last watched was Ninja Turtles. Yes. So now we go into coming attractions. Do you have anything coming up that you're planning to see, or do you have is there like, whether it's a new movie or whether it's I want to kind of explore this type of movie or something?
Yeah. Well, I want to see. I want to see anything else that these directors made.
I can give you
for
a
the Red
list.
Shoes.
I have
Because
not seen a
I-
bad movie by them. They were great. Powell and Pressburger.
Are they also the Archers? Or
Yeah, so
are
that
they...
the Archers is what. Well, I don't know why they call themselves the Archers, but that's Emmerich Pressburger and Michael Powell. So I would say that this movie comes at the end of a 3-movie run that is maybe the best 3-movie run. I mean, it's up there with the very best 3-movie runs of any directors. So they first did this movie called A Matter of Life and Death, which stars David Niven, and is a romance story about a soldier who is supposed to die in a plane crash in World War II, but miraculously survives because the angel that was supposed to take him to heaven can't find him in the fog when he crashes, and he lives longer, and then he falls in love with this girl, and then the angel says, well, you're supposed to come to heaven, and then there's this whole fight for his soul about whether he can live or not, and it's goes up to heaven, and anytime it goes to heaven it's all in black and white, and anytime it's on earth it's in color, and there's so many cool camera tricks. There's like a whole freeze frame section that's amazing where everybody's frozen, and then the movie they made after that is Black Narcissus, which is about a nun, and it's basically one of my favorite topics in movies is nuns that are driven crazy by how horny they are, and that certainly qualifies like that.
A genre of its own, really.
Really, The Devils by what's his name? That directed Tommy as well. I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, The Devils and Benedetta. There's lots of them.
I was just so incredibly impressed by this film, so that I was so as we were talking at the beginning of the call, I just want to see other things that they've created. So yeah, I'll probably watch
another really cool one they did.
A Matter of Life and Death.
That's like a fantasy adventure. Is The Thief of Baghdad, and that's another one that really holds up. Is really really cool, and has again lots of old school special effects. And there is something, I mean, we can just get into talking about the movie now because we're kind of naturally transitioning, but there is something that is so much more magical, and I don't know if it's nostalgia, if it's what it is, but of seeing these old school camera tricks and special effects, playing with forced perspective, really early rotoscoping type of deals. It just is more magical, and so there's lots of stuff in like Thief of Baghdad where there's like a big giant, and I'm like, I mean, I can probably figure out how they did it, but it just looks magic like on the screen, so I don't really care,
Yeah.
And
yeah, like there was. Yeah, go ahead.
No, there's a lot of that in this movie as well, and I think that. So I watched this with the commentary recently, which has a number of people on it, including Martin Scorsese, and it has Moira Shearer, the star, as well as Marius Goring, the other romantic lead. It has the cinematographer on it, and also this like film historian, and they give a lot of cool context. And this movie was sort of like a big, almost like financial boondoggle at the time. So basically, what had happened was that so we're just post World War II in England, and there was some I couldn't really understand it, but there was some kerfuffle between Hollywood and England where Hollywood wasn't wanting to send England its movies, and so because they were wanting to charge more for it or something, I don't know what it was. So the British film industry kind of built up around this of making their own stuff, and so that led to a lot of projects for Powell and Pressburger, and then eventually they did get that deal, and they did have a bunch of Hollywood movies and all these British movies that were in production or that they had ready, and then all these like stacks of, so then all of a sudden they had like too much and they were already going like way over budget on this project, and the first time they saw the like producers and financiers like saw a screening of it, they were like, we wasted our money on an art picture that's not gonna do anything. And then it was hugely successful. Like, it literally directly led to stuff like An American in Paris. It, like, when Hollywood saw it and things like that. Like, it was...
Why do you think they thought that it wasn't going to be successful?
I think because it's so much about artists, right? And is that something that is going to broadly appeal? Because it is so much, like, you and I, like, watched this movie, I think, and it immediately kind of speaks to something deep about, like, wanting to give yourself completely to, you know, your work, your art, whatever. Is that going to be, like, as interesting to a wider audience? It also, like, is dark. I mean, it has a very bummer ending. You know, it starts as like this sort of romance, but it's a great tragedy. You know, there aren't really heroes in it, like, you don't really like. And she, like, spoiler alert, because in this show we don't go by the order of the plot. We just talk about the movie.
Right.
So spoiler alert, she dies, very horrifically, and actually very, like, gruesomely for the time. How much they depict her, like, bloody and on the tracks and everything.
But I would say the audience probably knows halfway through that she has to die.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there is a sense to it because you see, I mean, it's just so magical how they do this thing. I mean, it's like they don't hide it. They're like, this is a fairy tale. We are going to make a ballet of it in this movie. We're going to make this whole ballet of this fairy tale. And as you're watching probably the best dance sequence in film ever, the actual
ballet. It is the most beautiful thing. I've
ballet.
never seen a full. Well, I know they do some Black Swan, but this film did it first. But I've never seen a full. I know it's only 15 minutes, but a completely uninterrupted 15 minutes of a ballet with never skipping back to the other characters. Camera just at the stage and on the subject, and it feels like a full like 90-minute ballet or 2-hour,
right?
You know, ballet's so much longer than that.
Well, and it doesn't just, like, put a camera on the ballet and film it, even, like, zooming into it's actually, I mean, it starts sort of like that, but then it becomes from her point of view, and you start to see stuff happening that you're like, well, that wouldn't happen in a live show, obviously.
Sure.
Like, you know, that couldn't happen, but it's because that's her experience, right? And there's lots of really cool stuff in the ballet, like when her tormentor takes on the form of Craster and the impresario,
Lubakov.
Yeah, you're right. Like, they, like, and like transforms, or that she transforms into a cloud and a flower and a bird or whatever. Like, all that stuff is just so clear, and also 100%. Just magic. And it's like, it's a centerpiece of the film.
I have no idea how they did the shot. I mean, okay, maybe it's less complicated than I think, but there's one shot there's multiple shots that are very impressive, but there's one shot where she is dancing in the spotlight, and then it's very famous, of course, and then Cruster gets out of his seat, walks on stage, and then it's a perfect cut between,
and then it's the ballet dancer,
and then the ballet,
and then he like just appears again in the. I was watching that too, like from his conductor spot, like he just kind of rises up again. Yeah.
Well, I think what's most impressive about it is because in order to I think in order to achieve that, and maybe I'm wrong, the main ballet dancer, I forgot her name, had to have done that same ballet, like almost exactly the same, and then it layered over itself.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, actually it's really interesting. So that's Victoria Page, of course, Moira Shearer, and
Moira Shearer.
One of the really cool bits of insight. She did not have a great time filming this movie. It sounds like Michael Powell. I mean, in some ways, listening to the commentary, I watched the first half of it on Thursday and I finished it up last night, and it sounds like the experience of making the movie mirrored like the experience of Victoria Page with Lemontoff and everything, of like just being, you know, it's really interesting. So Michael Powell was like bugging her actual ballet company where she worked that they wanted to make this movie. They wanted to use the ballet, and were there any dancers? And they finally, like, the like head of the ballet studio like took her aside and was like, listen, he's going to keep bothering us. Please just do the movie. To where she's like, okay. And for her, it was very frustrating filming the dance sequences because, I mean, you can imagine for a dancer, the joy of it is doing a whole dance, doing the entire thing uninterrupted. Whereas you're doing film, they were constantly stopping and starting. And it was very frustrating for her and the other dancers, it sounded like. But they weren't just trying to capture dance. They were putting dance on film. They were making it cinematic in a way that it hadn't been before, I think, like to have it the movie so support the dance and make it seem so fluid when you're watching it, but like the experience of making it was very like stop start, which I thought was interesting.
That's so interesting. And also it's like it's kind of beautiful in a horrible way that this, and I just want to come back to, I find it fascinating that the business people who were the money people behind this movie didn't think audiences would like it because they don't know. I think some of the business people who are behind making movies these days are similar in the fact that they don't understand where value lives, and they don't understand that audiences can appreciate things that are both dark and beautiful. But
well, and also just operating from return on investment thinking of like, this needs to make this much and we need to hit this target, and it's like, what if you just made a movie and like maybe it doesn't do well at first and then people discover it, and it's like, but of course, it's a business, you have to make money on it and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like, it's just the ways in which capitalism and art are like maybe not the best for each other at all times, like that. I'm seeing here. So the shoot overran significantly. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. It was 24 weeks rather than the planned 15, and the final budget ballooned to over 500 pounds, which was a lot for then. And they cut Powell and Pressburger's salaries because of how over budget it went. So there was, and it was, but like. Another movie that I'm excited to talk about here one day, Seven Samurai, most expensive Japanese movie ever made, and very important film. Also was a huge boondoggle at the time. They filmed for almost an entire year. I mean, that was by far the most expensive Japanese film when it came out. But it's all on the screen and it lives forever. Like that's a movie that everybody should see.
And talk about return on investment, like. Of course, it got a return on investment. I mean, look at Lord of the Rings.
Right. And they did not get paid that much like those stars. Like, I was just reading about that this week, that, like...
Oh, yeah.
Elijah Wood and stuff was like, no, we didn't. Because they got paid for the... They filmed everything at once. So they got paid for, like, the one job. And I think it was okay if it was, like, the one job. But no, it's 3 movies. And...
Wow.
So, but, I mean, they've also lived off of that, like, since then. Like, they're also doing great.
That's another film. I don't want to like bounce around.
No, bounce.
That's another film that like when I watch that film, or those 3 films, but when I watch those 3 films, I am blown away by the fact that I cannot see the seams in I cannot see the seams between director and performance and cinematographer and writer. Like I 100% believe that they are in Middle Earth and that they are going through this thing because so much time and effort and love was put into making it, like, and money was making it feel authentic and true and huge. And I think people are not willing to make those risks.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that's almost the ultimate triumph of an artist, and is that when I'm watching Lord of the Rings, I'm not even really thinking about the filmmaking. I'm not even thinking about
Not at all.
like those individual elements, because it's all so complete, and I'm just giving myself over to the experience. And yeah, the Red Shoes is that every time, especially when it gets to that
Yes.
especially when it gets to that ballet. I mean, I can put this movie on maybe in the background sometimes and just, you know, do stuff, but whatever I'm doing stops when the ballet, and I have to watch the whole thing, because it is like they did just succeed at really, and the movie, and it needs to support the whole movie. Like, it is that important that, you know, this is an incredible work of art that you as an audience just understand that this is a really special thing that they have made. And so, like, the fact that they don't do it again in the movie, or that she's, you know, they won't perform it again because there's all this, you know, melodrama plot, is actually, you understand her need to then return and perform it, because you see how, like, what it is. Like, this movie's about, are you willing to, you know, how far are you willing to go for your art? You know, are you willing to, and Michael Powell has said, or had said before he died, that this movie is about, are you willing to die for your art? And in order to understand why she would want to do that, you know, you almost need this transcendent experience. But you can't set out like just trying to make a transcendent experience. You'll always fail if you start from there. And so they just
so like, yeah, I just found it so cool, especially hearing that, you know, unfortunately that Moira didn't have a very good time. That it's like, it's almost, the Red Shoes is told like 4 different ways.
Right.
The actress behind the scene experiencing a similar thing.
Mm-hmm.
The character of Vicky Page wanting to dance. The person that the character that she plays in the
fairy tale,
ballet,
right? The fairy tale character.
Then the Hans Christian Andersen tale itself. It's sort of like bleeding throughout the whole thing.
Yes, Librarian. This is based off of a fairy tale. It's a real Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale called The Red Shoes, which is about a girl that gets a pair of red shoes that she really wants, and they make her a beautiful, wonderful dancer, but then she can't take them off and she can't stop dancing, and eventually they have to, in the way that the story is that they have to cut off her feet to take the shoes off, and she has no feet.
Yeah.
Cough button. Yeah, and that is such a potent metaphor of a fairy tale. It's so simple, yet, like you're saying, it works across all layers of the movie. Like, you can even see how Craster, from his perspective, could be a bit like almost the sort of Red Shoes character himself.
Yeah, he'll do anything for his music.
Exactly. And I really like that about how they have Craster and Victoria Page as sort of foils to each other early on. And this amazing performance by Anton Walbrook, who's a really interesting actor. He was a gay Jew from Germany, so he left and lived in England for a number of years. And hearing them, both Mary Scoring and Moira Shearer, talk about working with him, it sounded like so Anton Walbrook, who played Boris Lermontov, the big impresario figure and sort of the villain of the piece, it sounds like he was very much like his character. He would kind of he would wear the sunglasses. He would wear like the same pair of sunglasses that he would like when he goes to see her on the train and stuff, and he's wearing these dark sunglasses. And he would just kind of like sit to the side and just kind of stick to himself, and then just deliver in the scene work. And I do think, and then Moira Shearer was not an actress, so she was always very, intimidated, especially by the acting scenes. She was extremely anxious about the final scene, where there's the whole confrontation, and she was like really freaked out. But again, it sucks, and Michael Powell was not good to her. Apparently, he was very nasty and wasn't really helpful, and that sucks. But at the same time, that's all in the movie, kind of. Like, you almost see, like, that final confrontation is so potent, and it's probably largely because, like, she is, like, really going through it. Like, she really is anxious about doing the scene, but also it feeds into sort of her angst that she's feeling about who do I go with here. That, hey, thanks for stopping by, Misa Kerr. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as a performer, the hesitation I have about celebrating the fact that
Yeah, I mean, right.
is her going through that emotionally and getting that performance is, it's kind of like, yes, that can lead to a really effective performance on film. But of course,
Right.
it's not like the only.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I am saying as a caveat.
Oh, for sure. No, I'm glad you are.
Because it's like, it's so. I guess the philosophical question is, I would give to you, Robbie, is like, as an actor and a singer, of which you are both a brilliant singer and actor.
Thank you.
I've seen it. Is what are you what am I trying to say? When you're preparing for a role, like, how forgiving are you to yourself? Like, are you like, I think performers and artists should take a lot of care and avoid stress when they're putting themselves through.
I mean, it's certainly like, like, actually, after I moved from Chicago, I took a few years off of performing, or like sort of towards the end of Chicago, and then when I came back to it, I sort of relearned things to sort of almost start from scratch and unlearn some bad habits and things like that, and also learn some new bad habits that I had to move past. And one of the things that I had to learn was that you could only do your own thing. Like, I would be in a show that was really high profile, like people knew that about it, but I was happy with what I was doing, but the show was really, there are all these XYZ things or whatever that driving me crazy, and like, how can I fix it? And it's like, no, that's not your job. Your job is to do your part. And it's been like, so, and actually, since I started my movie pill journey, it's helped me like immeasurably as an actor. One of the people that has been my real hero, and at least like from an acting idol standpoint, as I've watched a lot of movies these past several years, is Gene Hackman.
I knew you were gonna say Gene.
Because he's just an actor's actor. He is, he's such a distinctive guy, but you never, like, his characters are always the characters. Like, he's always like just living completely as that character. You don't see the line. And at the same time, like, hearing how he sort of approached his work and stuff, there's this really, really funny story, a really great story that was being told again when he died, that Ben Stiller tells about when they were doing Royal Tenenbaums, which is the last movie that he made. And it was late in the shoot, like it was towards the end of the filming, and so he had been working with him for a couple months or whatever at that point. And Ben Stiller finally like got up the courage to anxiously go up to Gene Hackman and say, I just want you to know that, like, when I was really young, I saw the Poseidon Adventure, and it just totally changed my life. It, like, seeing like that made me want to be in movies and make movies, and it was just absolutely incredible. And he kind of just like looked at him and thought about it for a second. He was like, "Oh yeah, that was a money job," and he walked away. It's like, because of course Poseidon Adventure was a blockbuster of its time. He was doing that to cash a check. But he could still have that effect on people. But, like, because that's just, like, doing the job. And I think, to your point, another thing I really admired and loved about Gene Hackman is that he retired. And that he said, okay, I'm really happy with my career, and I'm going to now step back and just chill. And that I really admire, because there's so many people nowadays, actors, directors, musicians, bands, that it's like if you went back in a time machine 30, 40 years, we're talking the same people that are still around. And, you know, not that everybody should have an expiration date where they're done, but I just feel like, and I think that what's sad is that some of them, you know, have to keep working. And it was great that he got to both experience, like you got the sense that he enjoyed his life and his work and was able to kind of separate them.
Yeah. I wonder when he did Poseidon Adventure, something I think about a lot is like where in filmmaking.
Wait, you cut out for a second. What'd you say?
Oh, sorry. Something I wonder about is like where we're headed next in this industry after we figure out, you know, after artists and big companies come to some kind of agreement over the next 10 years, whenever that happens.
Because the distribution model's not working right now. The movie business is really hurting. They need to figure something out.
I have a hunch that we're gonna head back towards the contract model of like actors. Like when MGM offered Moira a contract, and MGM would have contracted actors who would come in and do, you know, they would not pay them as many millions of dollars as they used, you know, as they did in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, and I guess now. But you would be contracted to do so many motion pictures with this agent, with this production house. And I have a hunch, and I don't have any evidence of this, except that I do see a lot of like internet companies similar to StarKid and Dropout and other things that have like contracts with people. They have like gigs that they offer their rotating cast of people.
I mean, I was thinking about this a lot recently with Netflix, because I just watched one of the worst movies I've seen in many years, The Electric State.
Oh my god, I saw this
starring Millie Bobby Brown, who's not bad, but she's clearly she's also not great, if I'm being honest. And I don't mean that mean. She's fine, but like she's not a Moira Shearer. You know, she's not like this huge talent that needs to be in everything. Like, she's fine, but she's Netflix's girl. Like, she obviously Stranger Things, and she did this Enola Holmes or whatever, and now she's starring in Electric State, and I think that there's a bit of, you know, that's her place of work. Like, that's it. Sure. I think these things are less formalized, but like you see them. I've always noticed this for years also with HBO, that HBO, or now Max, reuses a lot of the same people. Like I haven't started the new White Lotus, but thanks for following, Trawazi. Maybe I should turn this alert down. Whatever, that's my fault. Thank you so much for the follow. Carrie Coon is also on the White Lotus. Also on The Gilded Age, and Walton Goggins is also in Righteous Gemstones, and you know, you'll see people sort of cross between, and like I would always notice this, even like back in the days of like The Wire. I'd be like, oh, this actor's from The Wire, and now they're showing up on Boardwalk Empire or whatever. Like that would happen all the time.
Yeah, it feels like some of these production houses have like invisible. I think it's casting directors and stuff.
Yeah, it's like they have their favorite people, and
I
don't know.
And I don't know. I mean, I think because at least that's how it used to work with like Harrison Ford, or before he got.
Yeah, you would do like they have a 6-picture deal with, you know, Universal or whatever. Yeah.
Man, I never saw Electric State, and I don't think I will. Yeah, but I will say this: I read some of the Letterboxd reviews, and they were hilarious. Letterboxd is great.
Yeah, I there's my Letterboxd up here. Everybody, feel free to follow me. I definitely gave that a half star. That which is only reserved for my most hated movies. That's not just I didn't like the movie. That was that I found the movie actively evil. Is what half star is. Two actors. Back to the movie that I want to shout out.
Yes.
Are the two ballet actors, Robert Helpman
Oh my
and
God,
Leonid
never-
Massine. They were both so good.
Leonid Massine, that was every movement he did was so specific. He's so charming.
Right, and he's
so
so
much
funny.
Charm. There's so much
Yeah.
charm, and he has like 10 movie stars from our age could not fill the amount of charm that he has.
And he was a dancer first. I mean,
you
like,
can tell.
yeah, and Robert Helpman, who is the like sort of other lead dancer, Ivan Boleslavsky rather. They were both from the world of ballet, so they kind of got along better with Moira Shearer. Although they also had their own prickliness, it sounded like. I want to shout out another Powell and Pressburger movie, because again, they only made bangers. I think it was after this, the next movie they made is called Tales of Hoffmann. And Hoffmann was he was sort of like a Hans Christian Andersen or like a Grimm fairy tale. Like he has like his stories that are like sort of wild tales. And that movie is like very much almost a spiritual sequel to this, in the sense that this is like the ballet movie and that's the opera movie, but it's also the ballet movie and it's also the musical. Like, it's a full sung through opera where the guy that plays Hoffman is like an opera singer who sings, but then everybody else is like a dancer who's dubbed over and stuff. And Moira Shearer's in it, Robert Helpman's in it, and Leonid Massine is like the villain who. So it's like 3 stories, and he appears in each story as like the villain, and it's amazing. It's like, I just like to see my friends again. And there's a really amazing, so I have the criterions of that one, and there's a really amazing special feature on it, which is an interview with George Romero, the director of Night of the Living Dead, and all those zombie movies. And he talks about being young, growing up in New York City, and going to the New York City Public Library, where he would check out film strips, and because he had either a projector or he had access to one somewhere. The Tales of Hoffmann was one of the ones that the film strips he would check out the most, but often it would not be available. And he came to find out later that the reason that it would sometimes not be available would be because it was checked out by Martin Scorsese. And they didn't know each other. And Martin Scorsese famously had a chest condition when he was young, and his mom didn't want him out playing outside, which was why he would just watch movies, and he had a little projector that he would watch movies in his house. So yeah, it's really amazing that these guys, like, their influence is like still felt.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to be watching at least the 3 or 4 of these Powell and Pressburger films next.
Yeah.
Also, one of the few brags that I have about my life was when I was in college. I did a horror film. There was like a short horror film competition in Kansas City, and it was judged by George Romero. And he said I was creepy.
Oh, nice. So, that is good. That is great.
Made my head pretty big.
That's good. No, that's really good. That would definitely do the same for me. The Red Shoes, it's like incredible. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, it also is like, it's cool how it starts. Let me just start by additional context that I learned from the commentary is that this is all based on like a real guy. Lermontov is based on an actual ballet impresario named Diaghilev, who died in 1929, but who it was based on the Ballet Russes, which created a number of huge stars. I can't really... Anyway, there's too much to read right now. But it's sort of like they were really steeped in the world of ballet. The cinematographer who was on the commentary said that he had never gone to the ballet, seen a ballet before. They were like, well, we think our next movie is going to be in a ballet, so start to like get familiar with it. And then he just became a huge ballet head. Like he just went to every ballet, and they really, it's funny because they really wanted to create that credible world, like to understand it. But then what's in the movie is very much the movie version. It's not like this is what a ballet company is like. It's what
Right.
the movie version of the ballet company is. But I think it's really cool how they started from wanting to really understand the intricacies of the world so that they could then create their own where they can kind of tailor that more to their needs.
Can I say something
Yes.
that I found? I think I was struck by it right away. I thought it was really fascinating to start this film. Was when the first sequence of this film is the guy who's running the theater trying to hold the doors shut because everyone is just scrambling to get to their seats to see a ballet, which I think was such a smart thing to show that like this audience was going to like injure other audience members to get to their seats, and it's just that level of excitement was what they were feeling to see a ballet.
Right.
And I think that was such a great way to start it.
No,
it's people are going to kill each other to get to their seats.
It's
and it was great.
Incredible way to build the world, to start it, to sort of build that anticipation and give you the sense of just how like revered a place this is. And the other thing they really do there that's amazing is then Julian Craster, who is one of our stars, and he has a couple of student friends, and they rush and they get the front seat of the balcony, and they're sitting next to these two snooty ballet fans.
Yes.
And they're like, we're here to see the great Boronskaya. And they're like, who's that? We're here because our professor wrote the music.
Yes,
and
it sort of sets up a divide between like who writes the music and
who performs it,
produces the dance and produces the.
Well, yeah, and so that there's that. So you immediately get that sense of okay, so there are these two forces in the ballet world, right? There's the music and then there's the dance, and
yes,
and then there's this whole thing about the great Lermontov and he gets talked up so much, and there's this whole early thing of is he going to come to this party that the whatever fancy woman who is the aunt of
Neston, Lady Neston.
Yes, and she's hilarious in this movie as well.
She's so funny.
And she kind of gets the whole thing going because she springs on Lermontov having her niece audition for him, and he is really put off by it because he feels like he was tricked into going to the party. Anyway, it's just a great way of setting up who these characters are, and it is a fairy tale in and of itself. Like it really feels like that. So there's like a nesting doll of fairy tales here that is
yes,
really,
and
really
I love,
cool.
And like it's like who follows. There's also this ongoing theme in the movie of like who follows who. Do the dancers follow the music? Or does the music follow the dancers? And then Lermontov, in the middle of the film, is like after the success of the Red Shoes, sits Vicky down and be like, the world is going to follow you. You're going to dance, and the world is going to come. Is going to follow you, which I always found.
Yeah, there's something so cool in how this presents the classic impresario character who like has the keys to your dreams, and how he goes from like, I grant your wish, Craster, and I grant your wish, Victoria Page, and I make this sort of whole magic happen. Is like really, really cool. I mean, like you can point to any number of like impresarios we can think of. Like, how about Lorne Michaels is like a sort of same kind of thing, right? Where it's like, yes, you can be on my show or whatever, and I will make your movie. Like he can just kind of make these things happen. And there's also the really, really great scene of after the Red Shoes is a huge success, and Lermontov is kind of just like holding court in his office, and he's like talking to six people at once, and it's like you see him like feel that like power. And then
Yeah.
at the same time, late in the movie, when he feels spurned by Victoria choosing to go marry Julian Craster and leave his ballet, he's like shown by himself like brooding a lot because he's like not getting his way, and just an amazing performance and
Yeah, he
like,
was amazing.
a great way of just like kind of showing that, like, and I think that there's some like some of it is like existing showbiz cliches at the time type of things that they're sort of playing in a bit, and then some of it is established in this movie. Like, it just does such a good job. Somebody asked earlier, what do Lila Brarian asked, what do we think made the film hold up so well for 70 years? What do you think?
That's such a good question. I think it's...
And I'd say it's almost 80 years as well. 78 years. Or 77 years.
I think you can... even though this is, some might argue that ballet is like a niche thing, I think everyone has felt this urge of like, what am I going to sacrifice for my work? And I think people can relate, like sacrificing one thing for another, or giving up maybe their love of performing or love of art or love of insert this to have like a balanced, normal, quote unquote, normal life.
Yeah. Something else.
Also,
oh, sorry. No, finish.
Go ahead. No, and then the other thing I would say is just, I think anytime a group of artists, writers, and performers all are, and in this case, dancers and choreographers, are all performing and creating at the top of their game, and invest so much love and care into something, you have these magical things that sort of come together into something that could probably not be made ever again unless another magical set of circumstances.
I mean, every movie, every work of theater, everything is kind of lightning in a bottle of what was there at the time, and then especially the movie lives forever, and it's like capturing all that work. I think you nailed it. I think on the making it front, like you said, they had at this point really gotten it down, and a lot of these actors had been in their previous movies. Another one I like that was made during the war is called A Canterbury Tale, and it's not an adaptation of the Canterbury Tales. It's a movie that takes place in Canterbury. It references the Canterbury Tales a bit, but it's more about soldiers that are getting ready to actually ship out to the war, and it's sort of about that. And there's a really charming performance by an American. He was like from Kentucky. He was like an actual soldier, and he was not an actor. And it's a very charming performance. And some of those actors are in this, but they have made a bunch of different kinds of movies, and they really seem to. This was the one that they were going to like put it all together with people that they had worked with and knew really well, and like creating this world that they knew they got the right people, like the best people for these ballet roles, and so that in and of itself is going to create something special, especially when the story is so potent. And I think that's the other part of it, is sort of the what you want to call like the moral or whatever, the reason that the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales all live on, and the Grimm fairy tales, that these morals remain relevant. And for this one, I think that it's something that I learned at a young age, that oftentimes maybe I learned it from Aladdin, that getting your wish is often the worst thing that can happen to you. That having your dreams come true can often like lead to some of your worst, like, I don't know what you want to call it, misery or whatever, because there's a hidden door behind that or something, and things can be too good to be true, but that's also balanced against like needing to pursue your art at all things. And that's another thing that I love in movies, is that sort of story of artists that just need to, get their art out there. But there's also this whole psychological torture element, which
I have a
works.
question for you.
Yeah.
There's a line that Lermontov,
that's good.
Lermontov says at the end of the film, where Julian Craster calls him out, and he's like, "You're jealous of her," and he says, "Yes, I am jealous." And he doesn't say what he's jealous of.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he is talking about?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that he loves to be the art maker. Like he puts all this on. He finds the people, but does he have a deep-seated jealousy that he can't make the music, he can't do the dance, he can't, like, that she has such a rare talent that transcends, that is immediately understood by people, just to see her dance, that he can't have. I don't know. I mean, yeah. And also that, just like from the practical standpoint, that his ballet doesn't do as well after she leaves. Also, another thing that's interesting is that in the 90s, Powell and Pressburger, who were both alive at the time, released a novelization of this that put back in. The script used to be a lot longer, and there was a lot more backstory type of stuff that all Pressburger apparently just like cut out all the extra sort of scene work. Like, there was, when we find out that Victoria Page and Julian Craster have been like in love and seeing each other, it's a surprise to us. Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, like, it's a little bit like they are so at each other's throats that you're like, oh, is this going to be a romantic thing? But when you find out, it's like they've been on this journey with each other for months at this point, and it's all happening off screen. Whereas that was originally written in, and I think it's really, like, it puts you briefly in Lemontov's shoes of being shocked by that, like, oh, this has all been happening type of thing. And so I think that's interesting, but I also think it was probably smart to cut all of that, because so much is like all of that having, because they've either read the scenes or knew the scenes or what, it's all in there. Like, it's all in their faces. It's all in, what's happening. It helps make it more potent. When I was learning about a lot of this backstory in the commentary, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And it sort of adds to what they're doing, but it's not absolutely essential. I mean, and that's another thing with fairy tales, right? Is that it should be like the essentials. It's like, these are the players. This is what happens. And like this movie. Hey, thanks for the follower, Massacre. So yeah, I think that this is a great, like, it's just a great fairy tale. And
I don't think I've ever seen a fairy tale modernized like this, that includes the fairy tale in the story, but so it has this perfect marriage between the new story and the story itself, sort of like just coming together perfectly. Oh, okay. And you could probably also say that the impresario is the characters in the ballet are also in the film.
Sure.
Like Julian Craster is the young lover. Of course, Vicky Page is Vicky Page. But then the impresario is the shoemaker.
The shoemaker, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Although I was also thinking about this when my show ended last week when I was talking my dinner with Andre last week, which was a great conversation with my friend Harrison. And as soon as it ended, I wanted to watch a movie, and then I was like, well, let's watch Red Shoes. I'm talking about it next week, so I watched it last week. And as I was watching it, then I was like, Craster could also sort of be right. the shoemaker, right? Because he
100%.
wrote this. So in some ways, the shoe is the ballet itself that she's in, which Craster helped make, but also, Wahlberg.
Right.
I mean, Lemontov is the one that really pulls the strings there, and that really can make that show happen or not. Even as all the creative parts of it are in this couple, this man who wrote the music and Victoria who does the lead dance part.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're both because they're both giving her this. They both want to use her in some way.
Right. That's the other thing is
their art.
Is that the movie could make Craster fully sympathetic and fully and he may be slightly more sympathetic, but you also, right, like you're saying, he also wants to possess her. He also wants to control her. He doesn't want her to go back. He and that is kind of wrong. So, I mean, whether he has his reasons and he's right to not trust Lemontov, it not being Victoria's decision, it almost makes sense that it would kind of drive her, like saying, no, you can't, is just making you want to, well, now I really want to go back and do it. And there's the final, I mean, and also she's giving up her career so that he could have his. And I think that's the other cool thing about the ending is this the simultaneous his opera is premiering in London as she is in Monte Carlo at this at the ballet, and like you're hearing it on the radio, and they're talking about the radio that we're delaying the start of the opera because the composer suddenly left, and then all of a sudden he's there. Really nice touch that he left his great triumph to come get her, to take her. It's this type of thing that I don't know. It's that's how much having. And you think about fairy tales in general, right? Of the damsel in distress as this prize that you win at the end, sort of. And in that sense, it's a nice kind of subversion of that. That's shown to be how perverse and wrong that these men think that they are entitled, one of them, to have the prize, and it's unclear what makes. What exactly makes Victoria run out onto the balcony and run into the train and all that.
I think there's a lot of something that I love about older movies and older filmmaking is that they'll do things like that where it's not 100% explained, and yes, tale, and yes, there's an element of magic, but they'll make these choices that maybe they don't make quite logical sense, but the audience doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care, he was just announced sick minutes ago, and then he's suddenly at the theater. Who gives a shit? It's
right.
That. It's impactful and emotional.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, and it's interesting and it makes sense emotionally.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of film these days that you see are willing to take those types of logical risks.
Well, and I think that there's a lot of stuff like that in the movie, like we said in the ballet, when I think the first time I watched this I was like, well, they couldn't do that in the live ballet. I mean, I was being facetious because I was like, obviously they're doing something, but they don't stop and explain this is her experiencing it. They allow you to kind of catch up to that, but they do also leave a lot of ambiguous stuff. And I think, again, in the ending, one of the cool things is she's getting ready to go on stage and perform the Red Shoes. Her assistant stage manager or dresser or whatever is trying to take her to the stage because they're starting the overture to start the ballet, and you hear the overture is playing. And as she's leading her, they cut to her shoes where she's wearing the red shoes. Now, keep in mind, at the start of the ballet, she is not wearing the red shoes. There's a very big part of the ballet is her putting the red shoes on, but she's already wearing them. And there's a really great shot of her pulling one of the red shoes back before she turns around and runs out the balcony and down and everything, and leaps over the balcony as a train is coming. And it's that are the shoes taking her, right? Is it her? Is it the, is it the situation? Is it the fate? These types of things. And yeah, it's like you're saying, they let that ambiguity in there. That's part of it. That's part of it, is for you to wonder, wow, what was that about?
Wonder, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for wonder, I think, in a lot of modern filming.
Yeah, no, I think that this is a consequence of a lot of fandom culture and stuff like that, of like an explainer culture kind of thing, of like, what does this mean? And another recently dearly departed man, David Lynch, was always, the question is way more important than the answer. The question. You having the question and experiencing the question, and it may not have an answer. Like, that is a more powerful experience for you to wrestle with the question. That is what a great film does. Is it makes you like sit with it in a way, instead of being like, well, yes, this happened because Iron Man did this or whatever. Like, this X led to Y led to Z or whatever type of deal. And
I agree. Although my partner hated Mulholland Drive.
Oh, okay. Well, I
hated.
I will say,
Twin Peaks. Go ahead,
the first time, that was my experience. The first time I saw it, I also hated it, and now it's one of my favorites.
You haven't met. I'm using the word hate with a capital H. Like, she was out of her seat, like, yelling at the TV. There's no way we get a second watch. It's done.
That's fair.
And
look,
I do think the question has to be crafted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you can leave the audience with questions, but I think the question itself should have craft around it. If that makes sense.
Well, and I would argue that even having a violently negative response to something is preferred to just being like, okay, whatever. What else is on?
100%.
And that doesn't mean that you're wrong for not liking something, or that you should seek out stuff that makes you feel like that or anything. But it might be that just that type of movie is not for you, which is fine.
She also hates modern art.
Well, sure.
And I think that's what she was comparing it to.
Yeah.
But I love.
She might be more. I would say, Blue Velvet might be more, and another really underrated David Lynch is The Straight Story. Oof.
Oh wow!
And you're from the Midwest, right? Aren't you originally?
Yeah, I was a military brat.
Oh, right. But you went to Kansas for college,
yes.
Right? So you'll also get appreciation for it because it's about driving across Wisconsin, Iowa, one of those two. And it's based on a true story of this really old man who, in order to go visit his brother, he's just found out is sick and that he's been estranged for like 20 plus 30 years. He can't drive because he's too old and he doesn't have a license, so he takes his riding mower and he drives across the state to go visit him. And
that's cool.
It's a very beautiful film. I really love that one. But yeah, there's room for everybody. I it's hard for me to not like a movie, and part of the reason that why I'm doing the show is I want to talk about the movies that we know are good. Like, there's not any debate going into these are movies that are already canonized in one way or another. But this is a movie, and I'm glad that you hadn't seen it, and I'm glad that you loved it as much as you did, because this is a movie that I feel like, if you're into movies, if you're like a film buff in some way, you know about it. But it hasn't broken out like in the way that, like, when I talk about a movie that is good that everyone just agrees is good, like The Godfather or something like that, or from another one from this like there are some things in this movie that actually borrow from or reference Wizard of Oz, which is another,
Yeah.
great piece of imagination, and also a crazy production of making that movie. It had like 5 or 6 different directors. Is a mess, but not enough people know Red Shoes, and people need to watch the Red Shoes. I think this is
I agree.
I think this is not just a movie that's good, great. I think a movie. It's one of those everyone should watch it. I think.
I 100% agree. I think, especially if you're in the arts, I think it's such a crucial film to watch.
Yeah, if you're in the
Like-
arts, absolutely. If you like film at all,
Yeah.
if you're into just like the art of film and film technique,
Talk about the art of Technicolor, like the art of using Technicolor.
I mean,
Similarly to Wizard of Oz.
I'll also
like you
shout
said.
out. This had an amazing restoration. I was seeing some images of before they did the restoration and after, and that actually happened in the 90s, I think, when they first did the restoration, and it is just gorgeous. I mean, just even like just a regular scene, just Moira Shearer's hair. It looks incredible. It looks bright red. It looks so good. Like all the colors are awesome. And it all looks great. It all looks very lush. But once we get into the ballet, it kicks into another gear, and it really opens up with the colors, the expressionism. Like the movie opens up in such a cool way there that it's another reason that it's just a great experience to watch.
Yeah.
Well, John, I mean, do we have anything left to say about
I don't
the Red
I don't
Shoes?
have anything left to say the Red Shoes except I would say I asked you about what he was envious of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you
And
think?
I think I was thinking about it too. And I think if someone, and I don't think this is true, I think this is a character who is a producer of the arts, but I think it's kind of like in the way of like a painter is jealous of its painting. Sort of like, this is something that gets to live
in the art, yeah.
Live inside of the art, as opposed to someone who's just sort of always watching it happen.
Do you like Sunday in the Park with George, the musical?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much
great comparison.
right. It's very much that where he loses his love because he's putting her in a painting, and then she gets to live forever in the painting. Yeah, it's a similar. Those stories have some cool parallel. Yeah, well, John, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'm glad that you got to watch this movie and that it connected as much as it did. I hope other people give it a shot. Do you have anything to plug besides, the new Cinderella's Castle?
If you loved Cinderella's Castle, please tell your friends to watch it and to keep sharing it. There's also another big announcement that's going to be coming in sometime in the next 2 weeks.
So look out for that.
So look out for that.
That is amazing. So great to talk to you, John. I will say next week we're going cowboy mode. We're going the good, the bad, and the ugly. Great.
Classic. Great.
We're going long too, 3 hours. So enjoy it. And I'm really excited to talk about that one with our guest Stefan Heck from the Go Off Kings and from the Block Party podcast. That's going to be really, really fun. So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks for the new follows. I really, really appreciate it. And please come back again. And I don't have anything else to say. I'm just going to find somebody. If there's someone I can raid right now. Is there? Hang on a second.
We got to get you a sign-off.
I know. I do need a sign-off screen.
Like, happy watching, or we need to get
I have the starting soon. I just need to make another one that's like, okay, goodbye now. I always...
It'll come naturally.
Yeah, I forget how to do it. Okay, we're gonna We're gonna rate
Oh,
our-
I meant like a sign off, like.
Oh yeah, like a
like
goodbye. Well, until
Yeah.
next time, I will see you at the movies. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, thanks again, everybody, and I will catch y'all next time. And goodbye.